Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Wanted to provide you with an update in terms of what I think you should be doing in 2025 if you're feeling a little bit bold, a little bit brave and fancy getting on board with a Porsche Taycan. And yes, they are brilliant cars. So much fun to drive, but there are some serious considerations that you need to make if you're thinking about getting on board with one of these cars. We'll be getting onto those later on in this video, but the purpose of this is to provide you with as much information as I can to aid that decision-making process, because right now out there on the UK market there is a whopping 846 cars available. That's an awful lot of choice. So where do you even start? And that number can obviously go up and down post when I make this video, but that is a lot of choice. There is no escaping that at all. And I think we need to start right at the top right now in terms of the major revisions of this car. So there are two major revisions of the Taycan out there at the moment. That is the pre-facelift and the post-facelift, also referred to as Gen 1 and Gen 2, or if you want to get a bit more scientific, J1.1 and J1.2, if you like, those different J1 platforms. There are major differences with these two versions of cars. Cosmetically, not so much. The front apron is different on the Gen 1 to the Gen 2, across the base and up through the Turbo and Turbo S. But under the hood is where the majority of these changes are. Significant changes to the powertrain and to the battery tech. Now, the battery tech on those Gen 1 Taycans isn't great. There's been a lot of feedback, a lot of forum activity, a lot of people having issues with their battery packs, modules being replaced, etc. And I just think that LG Chem tech used in the version 1 or the Gen 1 Taycans isn't up to speed. And there are significant improvements in Gen 2 in terms of the density and the range. You get up to 100 miles more range in some of those Taycans Gen 2 than you did in Gen 1, which is pretty significant, right? And overall, some of the questions I've been asking drivers seem to be met with better reliability feedback for the Gen 2 Taycans. They seem to be a little bit more robust. Of course, those Gen 1s, right, we were all kind of test drivers for something that was, I guess, very new for Porsche, right? So certainly a bit of a risk there in terms of taking that plunge, especially those 2020 Taycan owners out there. So you've got the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 to choose from now. The Gen 2 you are going to be paying a significant premium for right now. If we take a look at the spread of Taycans out there, the values, right, we start at 34,964. Whoever chose that price obviously likes their Porsches, that 964 at the end of that price there. But that is for a car that is old and also has 80,000 on the clock. And for a combustion engine car, it might not be so much of a risk, but for a Taycan, it is a massive, massive risk. And the reason for that is you've only got 20,000 miles left of that hallowed sacred battery warranty that is oh so necessary on a Taycan. Once you hit that 100,000 miles mark, you will no longer have a warranty on that battery. And any issues that you have with that battery are going to be potentially very, very expensive to repair. So that is a massive risk. And that is my first point here. If you're looking at an older car, if you may be wanting to stretch the budget a little bit more, you must keep an eye on the miles that car is covered. Don't forget 100K, that's it, no more battery warranty. And also the age of that car. You get 8 years of Taycanism before the battery warranty expires, which isn't too bad. And quite a few cars have got a long time to go until they hit that. But the mileage is definitely one you can consider. And not just that, cars with higher mileages are quite likely to see a reduction, sometimes significant reduction in the available range because batteries tire over time. And we've seen reports out there, Taycans losing 10, 20% of their range over not so long a duration in terms of miles, some 30,000 miles or so in some cases, which isn't really ideal. There is another little bit to unpick here as well. If you're a business owner and you want to take advantage of that tax break, that 100% tax break against your profits, you can offset the cost of the car against your profits. You buy a very expensive car if you're making significant profits to hide those profits a little bit. Why wouldn't you do that? Taycan's very, very expensive. The program that the UK government has in place was due to expire at the end of, I believe it was March this year, going into April, but they have extended it. They've extended it for another year effectively. So if you want to take advantage of that tax break as a business, you need to be buying a new car. That is a car from factory or a car that is already at dealers, just owned by the dealers, not registered to a person or a business, owned by the dealer, and then you can still take advantage of that break. Now, it's hard to ascertain exactly what those cars are on this list that we're looking at here on Auto Trader, but if we take cars that are under 100 miles, new or nearly new, there is 142 of those cars available. We could potentially say are new. So even if you want to do that, jump on board quickly, get that tax break, you can do so from a car that is in stock. So that is the first consideration here. Also, as of the 1st of April of this year, the tax laws will change from the DVLA perspective, and cars, Taycans, especially EVs in particular, will now be taxed every year at £195. So that is bang. So another consideration that you need to make here. Also, new cars purchased after the 1st of April of this year will be subject to that premium vehicle tax if the car is above £40,000, and that cost is £410 from the second renewal of that vehicle tax. So not this year, but the next tax you pay, you'll be paying that premium vehicle if you get a new car. So here is the thing, right? Do you want to buy a new car? Do you need to buy a new car, or are you a used buyer? And what should you be doing if you are a used buyer? Now, if you're a used Taycan buyer, well, there is an awful lot of choice out there. A plethora of cars available to you. And looking at this list here, you absolutely should be able to get a car that is pretty much as close to your dream spec as possible, given that there are so many out there. Now, the challenge is it's going to take a lot of trawling through lists. It's going to take a lot of ticking of boxes, etc., just to find the one that is right for you. But it's probably out there. It's just going to take a little bit of homework. Assuming we're not going to be looking at the Gen 2s here because they still carry a premium, my advice would be to hang on for a bit if you want a Gen 2, because Taycans do one thing brilliantly, and that is not retain their value. They come down in value significantly. So it won't be very long until those Gen 2s start to become very attractive in terms of the price point. Gen 1s are definitely already there, but of course there are risks with a Gen 1 Taycan in terms of the reliability and recalls, etc. They have been subject to a lot of recalls and a lot of reliability concerns. And unfortunately, they are founded in many cases. But I do say there's plenty of Taycan owners out there that are enjoying their cars that have had no issues. And there's no reason why you can't be one of those too. It could happen, right? I hope it does. But you need to check the history of that car. Has it had all the recalls done? You can do that at an official Porsche centre. They will advise you. They'll let you know the state of that car, the recall work that's been done, because ideally you want to have all those done if you're getting on board with a used Taycan, right? So that is absolutely a consideration that you need to make. If it's a Gen 1, has it had, for example, the heater replaced, because they all eventually need that new updated Webasto version to ensure that you don't miss up in the winter. But all the recall work and the service history. Now, servicing itself is every 2 years, and it's pretty much just a visual inspection of the car. So that's something you just need to consider as well. But for me, what kind of spec should you be going for from a Gen 1 perspective? Well, the spec you should be going for is the best one you can afford for your money. Now, the higher you go up the range, so turbos, Turbo S's, GTS's, the faster and more rapidly they depreciate from new. And that curve is much steeper than if you get, for example, a base Taycan, which is good if you're a used buyer, because that huge depreciation, you don't have to worry about it, and you get more car for your buck. And once that curve starts to even out and narrow out a little bit down the bottom, it means that you shouldn't be experiencing so much that depreciation. But I'd be looking to buy one, if you're looking at a Gen 1 here, that is at least 2 years old, about 2 years old mark, right? Because right now, that is going to have taken the lion's share of the depreciation out of the equation already for you, so you won't have to worry about that too much, and you'll be getting a lot of car for the money, and it's still going to be a relatively new Taycan. If you're buying a Gen 2 now, from stock, even from dealer stock, or pretty new, you're going to be seeing some significant depreciation on that car, unfortunately. So look at Gen 1s, check the recall's been done, check the work that's had to be done on that car, well looked after, and that everything works as expected. The other thing that you should be doing right now is absolutely no way should you be paying sticker price for these cars. No way. With the stock that's out there, dealers are probably thinking the last thing they want on their forecourt right now is a Taycan, which is sat there just bleeding cash, right? Which is not a good place for any dealer to be in. But it's great for you as a customer. But even still, look at the sticker price. There is no way on earth I would be offering full sticker price for any Taycan right now. Start negotiations immediately, and I guarantee you will get movement, because people want these cars, unfortunately, off their books, right? So you could be in for a monster bargain. The whole market right now is really taking a shift. Even the combustion GT cars from Porsche are coming back down to reality a bit now. GT4 RS is really coming back down to pretty much listish price, which is great, because that is a wonderful, wonderful car, no doubt about it. But it is kind of good as a buyer, right? As a used buyer. So that is something you really should be looking at, is negotiation of that sticker price right off the bat. Don't waste around, just get on with it, and you will get a good deal, I'm sure of that. Now, in terms of insurance, it's always challenging. I'm not going to go into that on this video, because it very much depends on your circumstances, and it varies so massively. You're just going to have to do your own sort of haggling on that, and phoning around and online comparison sites, etc., to get yourself the best deal. Here is something else that I wanted to call out as well on this video, which for me is a bit of a wow, but also a bit of a, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. So the Taycan Turbo GT. For those of you that follow the channel, you'll know I was offered a slot, an allocation of one of these cars, which for me was very, very exciting. But that was initially after I'd sort of sat down on it and really sort of had a reflection on the situation. I thought, it's just too much risk. And we were kind of right, unfortunately, or fortunately. I kind of didn't want to be right, but I was right, because yeah, we've got 5 Taycan Turbo GTs for sale, and these could be cancelled orders, or they could have even gone straight into dealer stock because they were struggling to allocate them. Now, as a car, I love the idea of it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, provided you get one with the back seats. But you'll see those now, they are at list price. Or if you look at these two here, they're being offered with about 20k off, which is absolutely insane. These cars are not holding value already. They're being offered with a discount. And I think we're going to see some pretty significant depreciation on Taycan Turbo GTs. And you expect to be able to flip these for maybe 100k over list when you buy them, any GT car, right? But certainly not the case with Taycans. They came on at list and they're already getting lower. Now, this could be a great car for me to buy if they get a bit lower in value, because I think the performance of them is going to be mind scrambling. That's certainly what most people who have been in them say. So who knows, watch this space. But that is something I wanted to call out, right? So Taycans, as I say, they're brilliant at depreciating, right? Which is very good for you as a buyer. So to sum up, you need to get your negotiation hat on, your haggling skills, because you're going to be able to get that price down without doubt, get some perks thrown in, etc. You've got the choice of any car that you want out there. Advice, Gen 1, maybe sort of 2 years old, taking the hit of that depreciation. Check the mileage, it's got to be low. You want it probably well under 50, 40k miles. Way under that if you can. You don't want to be high milers, because then you've got the risk of the battery warranty as well. And take your time, look at a lot of cars, because there's a lot of choice out there. Don't rush into this one, there's no need to, there's plenty of stock. And if you do get on board, as I say, great cars, really good fun to drive. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope this helped. If it did, please do consider a sub. That's it for this one. Do stay safe, stay well. See you on the next one, and bye for now.